Hey everyone, my name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. I apologize for being a little late. I was running late today. Welcome to the African American Athlete Facebook Live podcast, sponsored by the African American Athlete. I'm your host, Robert T. Green, presented by Pre-Post Game, the CEO of Pre-Post Game, also known as the Players Rep, here to educate and empower, protect the athletes and their families' best interests alone. This podcast on May the 9th, 2018 is talking about trust the facts, not the process. And one of the things that I could not ignore, again, I had to deal with today is speaking of the sports business of Alabama football. Not necessarily Nick Saban, but the Alabama football and how young athletes and families are continuing to see certain things on television or read certain things and aren't getting the facts and making uninformed decisions pertaining to the athletic career. And one of the things that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when adults basically go out their way to deceive or mistreat or misrepresent themselves when it comes to young men and their families. A lot of times these young men and their families come from an area where they don't have resources that includes knowledge, books, or people that's in the best interest of theirs, but essentially want to use them to actually make themselves reputable to the powers that be. What that means is the coaches in the university. So with that being said, we'll get right into it. We might be joined by Mr. Ricky Hampton soon. I know he's got some things going on, so I want to give a special shout out to him. To get other things out the way, if you want to find out more about us, you can check us out at prepostgame.com. See that on the side of the tab. You can also follow me directly on the Players Rep 1 on Instagram and Twitter. And you also can follow us at Pre-Post-Game on Facebook. So recently, while we're doing this podcast, as of yesterday, two more Alabama assistants are going to get paid upwards over $1 million per year. That goes along with Nick Saban's $11 million per year. They also have the second highest strength coach. I think he's paid around $650,000 to $700,000 a year. And the fact of the matter is, after this last NFL draft, 2018 NFL draft, Minkah Fitzpatrick, their highest draft pick, which is number 11 overall, didn't even have his insurance policy covered. And what that means is that by the university, that means is that if Mr. Fitzpatrick was to get injured sometime before the season ended, playing his heart out for the University of Alabama, that he would have lost a lot of money pertaining to what that injury detailed. But you can pay coaches left and right a certain amount of money and not recognize without those athletes, you would not be winning those games. And so we're going to break down exactly why. And the sports business is a results-driven business. Basically, you get paid for producing. And so one of the things that continues to happen is that the collegiate sports, NCAA, wants to keep stressing this is about education, fully knowing full well that the coaches that go into these young men's homes are basically preaching the NFL, getting drafted, come here and be a top pick. But the fact of the matter, again, is that in Nick Saban's tenure since 2007, he's only produced 3 top 5 picks. And out of those three, one happened to be Mr. Trent Richardson, who's no longer in the National Football League. If you Google him, you find out many things he went through, including going broke and having difficulties with his family and business and not being able to really understand who he was and living up to expectations. Also, another young man named Marcel Darius, who was the number 3 pick overall for the Buffalo Bills, who had several instances where he couldn't cope correctly without using drugs or drinking and driving and many different things that continue to happen. So once again, if you're saying that college is about education and you have someone such as Nick Saban, the head of that actual education in their school, why do these young men continue to have the same issues they have over and over and over again? You guys know about Reuben Foster, who's facing charges pertaining to domestic violence and having an assault weapon. Just as of yesterday, Mark Ingram, who is in his contract year from the NFL, just got suspended for 4 games for PED use. So once again, the decision-making process, the development of these young men and their character, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You want to say Mr. Nick Saban is the greatest coach ever, and then you say that this is NFL is a quarterback-driven league. Well, again, if you look at Nick Saban's history in quarterbacks, how many of those quarterbacks have ever been drafted, if at all, in the top 3 rounds? And I'll give you the answer is 0. So once again, if you talk about a league where, where you're trying to basically become the best player you can be, and that's what you're selling these kids on recruiting, Alabama has failed miserably in that actual situation. Let's look at the facts. I'm going to go talk about Coach Saban. For those who don't know Coach Saban's coaching history, once again, for someone to be deemed and for parents to deem this young man or this person, the greatest ever. You have to understand where he came from. Coach Saban's actually been coaching since 1973. Again, Kent State, Syracuse, West Virginia, Ohio State, Navy, Michigan State, Houston all as that is, Toledo, Cleveland Browns, Michigan State, LSU, the Miami Dolphins, and now Alabama. Now, I don't know about you guys, but anything in life, when you talk about having a job and be successful at it, if you're going to be tabbed or talked about as the best ever, I don't know anybody that's been the best ever or something that had to go to literally about 10 to 12 different places before you got labeled that. Secondarily speaking, when you talk about his actual career overall, when winning championships and basically leading young men to be better people, for those who don't know, in 2005, Nick Saban was coaching for the Miami Dolphins. And I'm going to lead to this actual point. He was coaching for the Miami Dolphins, and he literally said he wasn't going to leave. And in the middle of the night, he left, and I'm going to give you his exact quote. Nick Saban says, I guess I have to say it. I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. I shouldn't even have to comment on this. I think I've said this over and over and over again. So this man says that, and literally 2 weeks later, he's a coach at Alabama. But yet, when you talk about talking to young men about giving them character and development and setting them up, preparing them for life, when you talking about you don't even have the respect for grown men, but now you go into a college standpoint where when this person comes into your living room, you expect what he can tell you to be true. I think you have your best interest in mind. That's one example right there about you cannot believe what you say. You got to trust the facts, not the process. Secondarily speaking, just a year ago, there were a couple quarterbacks, ex-quarterbacks in Alabama that says, Coach Saban basically misrepresented themselves, told them they were going to play, and they lied. And then Coach Saban had to say that he wanted players changes. Hold on one second. Basically, he said that players change. Like he believes that players are supposed to stick to their guns and be committed to someone and stick by him and not basically do something different than what they said they're going to do. But I was giving you an example when he was at Miami with the adults when he did the exact same thing. So once again, you can tell other kids what to do and then turn around and not hold yourself to that same standard. This coach is the same person who was from West Virginia, by the way, born and raised, who also coaches in Alabama since 2007. As of the November 16, 2016 election, publicly said he wasn't aware that was going to be an election. And when the election is on Tuesday, when you have a predominantly 80% African Americans on your roster and regarding their rights to vote and things of that nature, in the actual period, that you would publicly say that you didn't know that an election was coming up because you were too focused on football. But yet that's, again, who was leading these young men, supposed to be getting this free education regarding going into the future. When you talk about what Nick Saban is getting paid right now as a coach, and some of the top-rated coaches, he's getting paid $11.1 million with a buyout as of April 1st of $26 million. So you can buy out Nick Saban for $26 million, University of Alabama, but you can't pay for some of your top-rated players' injuries policies at the level which they deserve. So I'm not talking about basically putting in a policy from the Student Athletic Fund that covers Minka Fitzpatrick or Rodney Harrison or Anthony Averett for a 4th or 5th round pick. But you're talking about guys that are potential top picks overall, and yet you don't have the money to do that. But you can pay a coach $11 million. You can pay an assistant coach another $1 million, another coach $1 million. But where's the results? Because as you can obviously see, the NFL does not care about national championships when it comes to getting drafted first overall. Last year we had Baker Mayfield. He did not play in the national championship game. Before that, you had Myles Garrett for the Texas A&M. Before that, you had Jared Goff, and the list goes on and on. The fact of the matter is the last quarterback that won last player for really that was drafted #1 overall and won a national championship was actually Cam Newton in University of Auburn. So you can talk about facts and business when you talk about recruiting kids and say, hey, it's about education or this is about business or sport, because things are not adding up. So when you pay someone $11 million, again, a year, and I want a kid and I go to that school, and in my return, I get a hat and a T-shirt, and you get $11 million. That's just not right. And then secondarily speaking, talk about quarterbacks again. You know, Jalen Hurts is thinking about transferring, and you also talk about the guy that came in, Tonga, and his brother is also signed there. But the young man that actually decided to go to Princeton instead of Alabama, young man that decided to go to Grambling, Alabama, understand from the sports business side, only one quarterback can play. So once again, the education is now getting out there for families. So even though Alabama won the national championship, they are now the 7th ranked recruiting class because once again, athletes starting to understand they're not going there to basically ensure that Nick Saban can tell me what I want to hear but not what I need to know, and then basically allow him to make $11 million and then tell me that, hey, we got this great tradition of top-rated athletes. The fact of the matter is, if I go and look at the National Football League history of the Alabama drafts, you only have, like I said, in the Nick Saban era, 3 top 5 picks. Three. So when talking about the SEC, it was once known as one of the best conferences there is. Over the last 2 years, you did have Myles Garrett from Texas A&M, who was an SEC player who was drafted #1 overall. He's won over the last 3 years. So the sample size, although small, it's the fact of the matter is that they have not produced. Again, you can hear things people say all the time. Well, Alabama had 12 draft picks in this upcoming class. Once again, 12. Your national championship, you only produce 12. And then the national championship, you don't have not one time is that the best player in the entire country. But you again continue to say that this guy is the best coach. There is. It doesn't add up. 1 + 1 is always going to equal 2. Always. Jared Goff came from Cal, Pac-12. He didn't play for a national championship. He's getting paid $30-something million, like I said, in his contract. Myles Garrett played for Texas A&M. His coach is no longer there. He's getting paid $30-something million, first pick overall. Baker Mayfield, his coach, his first year coaching. He hasn't coached. This is his first year. He didn't win a national championship. His quarterback was the #1 draft pick in the entire NFL, $30-something million. Once again, you're paying Nick Saban $11 million, his assistant another $1 million, his assistant another $1 million, and his strength coach $500,000-$600,000 without producing. And producing means when those kids come to Alabama, they're coming there not because they have nothing else better to do. They're coming there to go to the NFL. Any kid that goes through these Power 5 schools are being told and recruited on going to the NFL. And not the NFL in the 4th and the 5th round. The first round, the top 5, the #1 overall. And from Nick Saban's history of his coaching, he has not produced that. And with 12 different teams and about 30 years of coaching experience. So once again, who did not know that 2016 election that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton was voting that day? Only one person that publicly said they didn't know was Nick Saban. And that's who you want to be working with or helping to develop your son for the future. To tell you a bold-faced lie and get attitude about it when you question them about it. Again, I talk about people that's doing things and making money off of people that can't do what they do. Coach Saban is 5'6". He has never put on a helmet and been successful in doing what some of those kids put their bodies and their life on the line for every day of the week. Yet when their parents call and say, we want to get this insurance, matter of fact, again, the parents have to call because the school not calling them to tell them that you are applicable for this insurance policy. Again, student athletic fund. So again, I'm here to educate, empower, protect athlete and family's best interests alone. So when I give you the facts of the matter, you talk about, again, 2007 to 2018, this draft class in particular, you had Minkah Fitzpatrick, number 11, Daron Payne, number 13. Then you start talking about a team that won a national championship. And they got guys drafted in the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, the 6th round, the 6th round, and the 7th round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Hats and T-shirts, opportunity National Football League. If some of these young men went and played at other schools, that actually their draft opportunities have probably been better, to be honest with you, based off the fact of the matter. You can't argue with the numbers. Last year's draft class, they had 1, 2, 3, 4 guys drafted in the 1st round, including Reuben Foster, who was in the trouble like I spoke about before. But they didn't win a national championship. They didn't win a national championship, and the guy that beat them in the national championship got drafted 13 overall. When the guy who that guy beat, it's Trubisky, North Carolina, who never even seen the playoffs, much less a championship, got drafted number 2 overall. Once again, a result-based business. Are we teaching these young kids, or we try to recruit these kids and make them think that you, as a college coach, got their best interest in mind, and you're going to put them in a position to be drafted as high as possible in the National Football League? If you're saying that, then show it. Because I'm just giving you the answers right now to the test. It's a lie. It's always been a lie. So once again, what you look for from a college prestige standpoint, that's fine. That's what you're looking for. That's great. But if you talk about education and talking about giving education directly to the athlete, to the family, again, he does not produce. He has not produced. Again, from what these athletes are looking for. These athletes, he's basically going to recruit kids that do not have the resources to give you the information I'm giving to you right now. You look at Alabama's program. Just look down the line. Outside of the actual football game, how many athletes have you known that actually with their free education that they got, been able to do something outside of that everybody knows about? Who's the best quarterback in Nick Saban's career? And from a pro standpoint, it's A.J. McCarron, who's a 5th-round pick. You're the best or you're not the best. I'm the best coach that has a 5th-round quarterback. I'm the best coach that has a kid that can't stop getting high. I'm the best coach that gets kids that comes in the NFL injured all the time. Why is that? Are they running a pro-style defense or offense in college where he tells you he's going to recruit you to help you get to that league, but then once you get there, he runs you to the dirt, so now it don't matter anymore? If you're looking at the answers, it's telling you that right there. Over the last 5 years, we got the best players that Alabama has produced from a number standpoint in the NFL up to this point is, as of right now, you got Landon Collins, who's relatively young, going to his 3rd year. Got HaHa Clinton-Dix. You have Julio Jones, obviously. You have Amari Cooper that's having success. Marlon Humphreys had a pretty good year. Jonathan Allen should be good. Again, I mentioned Reuben Foster, who pretty much, again, at this point, if he doesn't learn how to mature quickly, become the man that he's expected to be, he'll be on that list, that majority of the list of athletes that come from that program that have not been successful long term that nobody wants to talk about. So if you turn on these certain TV shows and these certain recruiting sites, all you're going to hear is Alabama this, Alabama that. If I'm a quarterback and I want to go play and win a national championship and try to go to the National Football League, why would I go to Alabama? When you get recruited based on that, what did they tell you? You can be the best player here. You can win a championship here. You can help get me another bonus or this assistant another bonus. Athletes do not go to college to sit there and watch somebody else play. I don't know why people continue to talk about the whole team. When you say team, again, when a kid or in a pro level gets cut from the team, did they go around and ask everybody on the team, should we keep this guy, let this guy go? No, they didn't. It was management. But you only use the term team when you want all the players to buy into this system and this structure. A lot of times it don't benefit them, but by having them think about it as a team, you get cohesion, you get compliance, you get people that are subservient to that structure. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. When I look at the athlete that some of these players and some of these players right now that got drafted, if you look at the draft right now in the 2nd round, and again, I mentioned Alabama had all these guys drafted, well, 8 guys drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. There'll be 1 second. I'm going to tell you the second round was amazing this year regarding NFL draft. I'm going to tell you why. Because based off of all of the different things that's happened this year. Okay, 2nd round, first pick of the 2nd round. Where'd it go? The first pick of the 2nd round, the young man was from Nevada. Cleveland Browns, Austin Corbett, guard, Nevada. Next pick, New York Giants, 2nd round now. Will Hernandez, Texas El Paso. Not Alabama, not SEC, not LSU, not Ole Miss, not the ACC. 3rd pick in the 2nd round, Darius Leonard, linebacker, African-American athlete, South Carolina State, HBCU. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Height, weight, speed, health, and youth is what gets you drafted. Not the coach, not the actual championship that you have. Because like I said, the last three, do they win championships and play for Power 5 in Nevada or Texas El Paso? Let's keep going down in the second round. Because again, I want to mention all these guys. 49th pick overall, South Dakota State, Philadelphia Eagles. 52nd pick overall in the second round, defensive end from Rutgers. 57th pick overall in the second round, nose tackle, Sam Houston State. 62nd pick, Pittsburgh tackle. And list goes on and on and on. So again, even the third round, we got North Carolina A&T. We got Brigham Young. We got Fort Hays State. Texas Christian, South Florida, Central Florida. We got Humboldt State. So once again, when these young men decide to make decisions to go to certain schools and trying to get the education that everybody want to talk about, you got to understand, again, in NCAA, you got 5 years to play for, academically and athletically. And again, to give yourself the best possible situation is not to be on a roster or a team simply because they're in a certain conference. It's about being on the field and getting the opportunity to play what you want to play, for one, and two, to excel in that. I mean, many of you guys have heard right now that many of the pundits was trying to say Lamar Jackson didn't have accuracy, but as soon as he got to camp, John Harbaugh said, "Oh, he has great accuracy." So once again, people go out their way to try to devalue certain athletes based off their skill set, who without them, they would not be in the league. I share this information in confidence because it bothers me. The fact of the matter is that I know there are people inside the industry that literally do not want to see some of these kids succeed for whatever reason. You know, everybody want to seem like they are the smartest person in the room, and everybody want to seem like they're the circle of influence for this kid. And when this kid doesn't basically become or allow this person to be a circle of influence, they go out their way to try to hurt these kids' draft status and stock and business opportunities. And it's really a disgrace. Because once again, I talk about the majority of people that operate that way cannot do what these kids can do. Now, do they make mistakes? Absolutely. We all make mistakes. I'm a former high school, collegiate, and pro athlete. I'm the player's rep now because once again, when I talk about the voice of the player not being heard, this is what I continue to happen time and time again. If you hear all these things that's going on right now pertaining to sports, you haven't heard a sports agent, you haven't heard any coach from a collegiate level saying anything pertaining to how they want to help the player and benefit the players. They know some of these houses these kids come from and some of these areas where these kids come from, yet no one is willing to say anything about them and their best interest. Although, if you look at, once again, the coaches' salaries, Dabo Swinney making $8 million, $8.5 million. Jim Harbaugh making $7 million. Urban Meyer making $6 million. Arizona Rich Rodriguez making $5 million before he lost his job. And also before Jimbo Fisher left, he was making $5.7 in Florida State. Now, answer me this question. Outside of Clemson and Dabo Swinney, when it comes to Deshaun Watson, once again, even though he ended up drafting number 12, Deshaun Watson was clearly the best quarterback in the draft class the year before and did not get paid or did not get drafted accordingly. Is that Deshaun Watson's fault? He did put up 1,100 yards in Alabama. He did win a national championship. He did set all types of records. He did help Dabo Swinney get a $56 million raise. But what did they do in return for him when it came down to when it was all said and done? Did that national championship help him get drafted before Mitch Trubisky? No. So once again, back to Alabama, quarterback-driven league. Are they sending any quarterbacks in the National Football League anytime soon under this certain regime? No. Michigan, have they sent any quarterbacks to the National Football League recently? No. Ohio State, J.T. Barrett, the all-time winningest quarterback in Big Ten history. He's an undrafted free agent. So you mean to tell me the best player, the best quarterback in a conference that's a Power 5 over 4 years who helped a person make $6.5 million a year is not good enough to be drafted? There is a serious discrepancy, some serious issues right here. That's why I say got to pay the players. Because this whole system is set up, and I talk about things about why we, and me specifically, feel like why things happen this way. As people know, in this business of sport, in particular football, quarterback is the one position that can usurp, meaning like go against the coach's authority. If you think for 1 second, based on what you know about Nick Saban, that he wants a quarterback that actually help his team win and move them along, then you don't understand the sports business. You don't understand it. But yet, you do understand that when you have a 4-star or 5-star and you go to a certain school, even though you're not playing, that puts money into the university's pocket. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. So once again, you talk about the 10 highest coaches. Kevin Sumlin, $5 million. He used to coach Johnny Manziel. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that right? How'd that work out? Texas, Tom Herman. Coached at Houston. Jimbo Fisher. He left. Didn't even give a call to his quarterback, DeAndre Francois, at the time to let him know he was leaving. But yet he was jumping up and down on the fans about them supporting the actual team and stick with the team. And then as soon as things turned the other way, they got up and left. But the players are supposed to continue to buy in. That is about education. It's about team. I'm all for it if that was factually true. And there's some coaches out there that are about their team. There are some coaches out there that do sacrifice for their players and do certain things a certain way. But the majority do not. And you don't have to take my word for it. Like I said, trust the facts, not the process. It's a simple question. You're recruiting me like I'm going to a job. If I'm going to go to a job and you want me to come work for you, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. One, what am I getting paid? How much am I getting paid? What is my job description? And that's what it is. You sign off on it, that's what it is. In sports, specifically college, there's a lot of things to talk about, like coach speak, like the best players play. That means you're not going to play. We'll see. That means you're not going to play. If the coach can't give you a straight answer pertaining to what you're asking for, again, there are 700 schools out there that you can choose from. The name on the back and the star that you carry is based off your skill set. Theirs. You give them the power. When you sign your name into a contract after 7 months or 3 years, 7 months to 3 years of recruiting, of going all across the country, wearing gloves, doing promo videos, putting on their jerseys, dancing, and then turn around and let them show a document in front of your face you haven't read and want you to sign it in 15 minutes or less without even reading and understanding it, getting reviewed by your own attorney. You do that because what? It's called school? Have people not been paying attention to what's happening over at Michigan State? The Olympic program? College is a business. These coaches are their own business. These coaches are going to do what they have to do to protect and feed their own family. As the athlete, it may not be fair to you or the parents, but you must understand in sports in 2018, you must invest in yourself, not the industry. As I say all the time, you are a pro the moment someone is willing to pay money to watch you play a sport. They're not coming up to you and shaking your hands. The NCAA and the university are not giving out free scholarships in urban and rural areas because it's better to do. That's the biggest fallacy ever. Oh, other kids will want this scholarship. They get room and they get boards and they get gear. That's a joke. The money that the athletes bring in and talking about, well, let them pay for scholarships with other people that pay to go to school. Yeah, let them. If they wasn't generating millions and actually dropping your tuition as a regular student, athletes are the reason why, specifically football and basketball, why you have a hockey team and a water polo team. And I was watching today college beach volleyball. But once again, you're talking about education. We got half of these athletes out here, they all taking meditation classes. Now you tell me, what are you getting from a meditation class? How's that going to help you in the real world, in corporate America? You got drafted with their free education that their CPAs, stands for Certified Public Accountants, trying to advise the parent and the kid to sign over their power of attorney. And the kid, the parent don't know what. So guess who they call? Never. Only time your CPA should be dealing with anything pertaining to your power of attorney is if you have an issue with the IRS, you haven't paid tax. Once again, they're not the school that's giving them free education again, hasn't even taught half of these kids that are now overnight millionaires what taxes it is. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. So if you keep looking out and paying attention to what's going on, as I said, Alabama's recruiting class is ranked number 7 after winning a national championship. If things like this continue, like again, I'm going to forecast and tell you now that the type of coach, not necessarily Coach Saban, but the type of coach that continues to think that they can say whatever, however, and a kid supposed to jump up and down, and you can tell a kid that he needs to be a team player and stick with a team when you can tell grown men that I'm going to be here and then leave the next day and then think it's all right. You want to hold kids accountable, but not hold yourself accountable after 30-something years. And most people are supposed to be subservient because you're Nick Saban. So if you get upset and you don't want to answer the question, they're supposed to just stop. I tell you what, when those kids stop going to those schools, you will be happy to answer questions. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of other things going on right now with these coaches. Remember a couple years ago, they all want to dab. Free education. Because you dab, that should make me sign an agreement to go to your school. Not realizing that if I hurt myself or I get hurt seriously, you're not going to pay for my insurance if I qualify for it. If I want to be a doctor, I can't become a doctor because of the practice schedule they have me in. Tell me it won't fit into the schedule. If I don't want to be there, you now will call me all types of names, call me a mama's boy, tell me I'm stupid, you're not this, you're not that, you're weak, you're soft. So then I quit, and then you tell everybody else I quit because you just bullied me out of my scholarship. Things that go on in the sports business at the earliest level. This is why pre-post game is here. Here to educate and empower, protect the athletes and the family's best interests alone. Every other day I get an email or get something sent to me about somebody who did themselves. Financial advisors without no actual securities licenses. No federal background check. No mention of an ADV when they want to procure another athlete's business. But they'll say they're a financial advisor. They took up pictures at the Pro Bowl with somebody. Sports in 2018 has never been more lucrative, but it's never been more dangerous either to the athlete and the family at every level. Some people watching this video right now don't like the fact that I even exist, but I understood that when I started this business. Once again, it's a lot easier to basically you do a couple things here and there for a kid who don't have anything. You know, a mom works 2 or 3 jobs, and literally now all of a sudden she can't get him a pair of shoes, and some runner comes out of nowhere and buy him a pair of shoes, and now he don't know his mom said. I tell families every day before they go to college, do not let the school separate you from your kid. This NFL draft is passed. I'm sorry to say I know at least 5 families that have been broken apart because of this whole trusted process. They had no idea that their kid, who they helped get to this point from day one, has now been taking advice, listening to, being mentored, moved along, trafficked by somebody else who now the kid and the parent don't even know each other anymore. They can't even communicate themselves. The unfortunate part about that kid he don't understand is that the moment that your money dries up, they gone. And now you got to try to make amends and try to, mend your family. And that's unfortunate. Once again, we're talking about sports, business, of University of Alabama football. So I thought today would be the best because once again, if you break down those numbers, you're talking about at least $15 million. Championships in college, athletes that getting drafted, not getting their insurance paid for by the university, not getting drafted in the top 5, 0 number 1 picks overall. So you can continue to have the best team overall, if you say, that you never had the best. Guys that continue to fail drug tests, get in trouble off the field. So in college, when your character's supposed to be developed, it's clearly not. Trust the facts, not the process. Turn on your television. Watch any ESPN show. Do you see any Alabama athletes giving interviews? Michael Strahan, great New York Giant, on Good Morning America every day, went to North Texas. Invest in yourself, not the industry. You're not going to put hours and days and years in your life in a line to go sit there and hold a clipboard from somebody. In the National Football League, there's only 53 people on the roster. Yet there's 700 schools and colleges that plays football, and almost 100 kids on each roster. They're telling you that this is a business because, again, a good third of you are never going to play at the next level. But because it's a 501c3 institution, they get money for every one of you guys that come to that school. Once again, scholarship costs this, costs that. A scholarship costs whatever the state or the school wanted to cost. And once again, we talk about start with the end in mind. Why are you going to school? You need to have a plan. I want to be an architect, an engineer. I want to be a chef. I want to be a cook. I want to be a football player, a basketball player. Well, once again, if you're working to become a pro, there's a thing called a collective bargaining agreement. Start to educate yourself on your own business, your future. Understand what the NFLPA, the NBAPA is. Understand what the rookie wage scale is. For those guys right now, they're allowed someone from a university, and I'll say this again, there's a couple kids that was advised by a university in their representation not to leave school, but that young man just happened to be a number top 15 pick. It's a good thing he didn't listen to them. Now you wonder why they want him to come back to school, so they can continue to make money off of his skill set. Then there's also other young men that came back to school with the promise by the school that they will be hired. They ended up undrafted as a free agent. So if that's about education or that's about business, because you can't have your cake and eat it too, like I said. No one is holding the universities accountable because the NCAA don't hold themselves accountable. Sports is not a game. It is all business. 30 teams in the NBA, 32 in the NFL, similar to hockey, baseball, 25 guys on a roster for baseball. Know your sport. Know the position that you play. Know what you want to do. Understand the difference between an NFL from a defensive tackle 3 technique and NFL 5 technique rush in, the money differential. Don't let somebody make you a defensive tackle when now you just cut yourself off to $4 to $5 million when you could be a rush in. This is your life. This is your profession. Leverage for athlete come when you're young, not when you're old. So if you start to basically allow other people to dictate to you how things are going to work when you're younger, that'll always be the case. Your leverage come when you're healthy, as I said earlier, when you're young, and when you excel at what you can do. Sports is not a game. Check the facts. Trust the facts, not the process. Let's look at the last 3 drafts. Let's see. Draft history. Mock draft 2000. I'm gonna go back to 2014 or 13. Okay. 2013, number 1 pick overall. Hint, hint. Not from Alabama. Central Michigan. Offensive tackle, Eric Fisher. So, 2nd pick, Texas A&M. 3rd pick, Oregon. 4th pick, Oklahoma. 5th pick, Brigham Young. 6th pick, LSU. 7th, North Carolina. 8th, West Virginia. Then you got back-to-back Alabama players. D. Milner, Chance Warmack, and DJ Fluker. Google them. How their pro careers have turned out thus far. I can just give you a hint. D. Milner's not even in the NFL anymore. Trust the facts, not the process. None of these kids went to these schools in particular thinking that this is how it's going to be. They didn't ask any questions. They were dictated to. And for that reason alone, this way ends up happening. 2014 NFL Draft. First pick for Alabama, number 17, C.J. Mosley. There was players drafted from Central Florida, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Louisville. You should have all this information in front of you when you guys decide to sit down with somebody when they talk about what they can do for you in your sports career. What is their value proposition? How do they bring value to you? This is 2018. If people are still coming into your living room and making you feel inferior about who you are, and you're the reason why they are getting paid, the only reason why they're getting paid, then you should let them go about their business. Our company at Pre-Post Game, again, we help with that too as well. So again, if you're interested in looking at certain schools and getting the factual information about, whether they have a certain amount of people at your position, are they guys likely to leave, to stay, the type of degree you're looking to get, what type of campus setting they have, all those things you should be able to ask those questions. They should be able to answer those questions prior to you making a verbal or a written commitment to that actual university. The only reason why things haven't changed as of yet is because the players and the families are the last people that look out and protect themselves. As athletes, we are always trying to basically appease, make other people happy with us. And we've been taught to be subservient to a certain extent. So if something is going wrong with me, I'm not going to say anything because it's going wrong with that person too. Doesn't make it right. There's a lot of things that happen in this country that wasn't right, that was done to a lot of people, because nobody said nothing or had the courage to say anything and continue to go on. The true definition of a leader, understanding, comes at a cost and a sacrifice of oneself. But you shouldn't be shy away from it, because somebody has to do it. Truth hurts, but it's liberating. Every Wednesday we'll be here. Again, this is the African American Athlete podcast, sponsored by the African American Athlete, Mr. Ricky Hampton and Michael Robinson. Check them out on Tuesdays from 10 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as they cover the topics of the African American athlete, history, past, and future. Again, my name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of a company called Pre-Post Game, sports business management and advisory, succession and transition planning for athletes and their families at every level. We're here to educate and empower and protect the athlete and the family's best interests alone. Check us out at prepostgame.com. We also have a calendar on our site to let you know where we may be time to time. Again, there is topics that you guys want to discuss and look at. Definitely don't feel free to either send it to the African American message board. We'll try to work that out for you guys, or we'll continue to basically just go off with what's going on in today's topics. As you guys have probably figured out now, I don't talk much about the game specifically. I know NBA playoffs are going on right now, and a big argument again, LeBron versus Jordan. The fact of the matter is, in sports business, it's bigger than that. I want people to understand that when it comes to multimillionaires making business decisions to go to be at one city versus another, that's a business decision. A lot of people want to attack these young men characters for what decisions that they make, but not really understanding that what goes into this business. I'm hoping to educate and enlighten people in this type of scenario so they understand like this is bigger than them. Even the rich guys are still getting robbed because they don't know what's going on behind their contracts. They don't look at their actual documents every day. For example, when you had the NFL draft and we talk about business, just business principles. Everybody that went to work today before they got their job they at right now, did somebody tell you, hey, we're going to have you work for us for 5 months and then later we're going to pay you after the fact. We're going to tell you we're going to pay you when we get through 5 months. No one would sign up for nothing like that. But let's just take the NFL mock drafts or the NBA mock drafts, any mock draft whatsoever, the Mel Kipers, the Todd McShays of the world. Let's just say that the 2019 NFL draft already mock draft that came out, let's just say is 65% accurate. 65%. In business terms, if it's accurate, why would any athlete or their parent give someone a percentage of something that, if it's true, you already know what it is. Secondarily speaking, you don't know what may happen 5 months from now, but their actual business models tell you what you're going to pay them, even though you're providing value to them. So in simple English, if I'm the second pick overall in the draft versus the 7th round pick, that's a big difference in money. We can negotiate a contract and say, hey, if I am the second pick, you will get paid this. If I'm the 7th round, you will get paid that. Yet they allow these people to continue to tell them and dictate to them what they're going to pay, but yet you provide the value to them. It's 2018. This stuff is slotted. It's written. But we're too busy dancing and Snapchatting and doing all types of stuff that literally do not create generational wealth amongst these athletes. Every year, regardless of African-American athletes or athletes, period, you're going to have at least close to about 500 to 700 overnight millionaires. People know that. They're waiting for you. They got a plan for you. They had a plan for you since you was in the 10th grade. They know what type of ice cream you like. Your mama, your parents are putting like Facebook Live showing where your kids go to school at. You got to stop. These people got plans for you. They're going to pop up at your church. They're going to try to buy off your cousin, your aunt, your grandma, your pastor. Trust the facts, not the process. You come up to me and ask me a question, you talk about my son. Do I know you from somewhere? How did you get my phone number? Before you start coming and telling me how wonderful I am and how great my kid is, who are you? And why are you here? And then the best and most important piece, what are you here for and what can I do? What do I need you for? Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Check us out every Wednesday, 6 p.m. right here, Eastern Standard Time. Again, my name is Robert T. Green. I'm the Players Rep here to educate and empower, protect. I enjoy speaking with you guys. I look forward to talking to you guys next week. You guys take care.